here we are. So I have Castle Link installed on the computer. We have cable connected to the Castle Link itself and the ESC is powered on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look through the different settings and everything that we have here and look at a couple different things that we need to change. A couple of the things we're going to change here just immediately. So it beeps. Castle ESCs beep even just at idle when nothing's happening and it's annoying. So you can disable that here. The other thing is it comes with drag brake off, and so we're going to put it onto 100% crawler, and then we're going to put it on to like a fast drag brake ramp. Really, that's going to be something that we're going to have to play with and figure out what setting we really want it at, but I don't like my drag brakes to be instantaneous and to really lock the wheels, especially if I have the ability to be a little bit faster. And so I'm going to put it, so we went from instantaneous to there's very fast, and so I'm gonna go all the way down to medium and see how that feels as we do it. We still have the cutoff voltage is automatic, the number of volts per cell at a minimum, so we can have it all the way down at 3.2 volts per cell. You can say whether or not you want standard reverse or crawler reverse, so we're going to also have to set that. I'm going to leave my BEC alone for right now. I may bump that up later just to get some extra power to the steering. All right, and here's one of the most important things that we needed in this one, which is under motor, we could actually reverse the direction of the motor. Very, very important, because when we did the first drive of this thing, everything was backwards. It was no good whatsoever. But there's a lot of this stuff in here that we don't really need to mess with. I kind of curved down both the reverse and the throttle curve a little bit, just because this thing does have so much power. It is kind of touchy, so we did that. But really, at the end of the day, not a whole lot. So now it's time to get this unplugged. Because I reversed the motor direction, I believe I'm going to have to recalibrate the throttle in here. We're going to look at that and just see, make sure what that looks like. And here we are now. We've got it all back and good, and it does exactly what we want it to, and we have a nice throttle curve in there. We got a nice drag brake in. We've got all this stuff, so I am very excited to get this back out and give it another drive. test drive is done on 4S. That's interesting still. That's really, really interesting still. So on 4S, even though you saw me as I programmed it, I actually tried to detune the throttle a little bit, both throttle and brake. I actually tried to detune both of those. And even with that, this 2800 kV motor on 4S is a staggering amount of wheel speed. And you have so much potential wheel speed that even I feel like low throttle modulation is still kind of hard. It's there. The motor, especially with 4S behind it, has plenty of power to control that truck at whatever speed you want it to go, up or downhill. You know, downhill was easily controlled because it had plenty of power to control it however you wanted it, whatever speed. Uphill, same thing. But I found myself surprisingly really struggling with very low speed throttle modulation because it just wants to go. It has so much power. It's like trying to idle around in a Lamborghini. Like, it just doesn't want to idle around. It wants to go. So two things I think that I would need to do to this. I would need to, if I'm going to continue to run it on 4S, I need to detune that throttle curve, that initial punch, that initial step-in setting. I need to detune that even more. And then the other thing is I might want to gear down. Might want to gear down a little bit to let that motor spin a little bit more. I think that might be good, both for just total control. Or, of course, the easy answer is just to go back to running it on 3S. You know, I mean, honestly. But if we're here and we've gone through all this work and I spent, what was it, $180 something on this motor and ESC combo, I still come back to, I actually really like driving the truck with the stock brushed setup on 3S. It did everything I wanted it to. So why did I just spend $180 again? Like, for this application and how good the stock motor and ESC is in this Team Associated, it's a lot harder to justify. Now, maybe if I was in a situation where the stock motor and ESC was worse, bigger potential upgrade. If I was in a situation where I was doing more like U4 rock racing, this might be a no-brainer, like total no-brainer. You still have, you know, crawling capability, but then you also have the ability to rooster tail and get out of there between the obstacles. So I think for something like that, it'd be a no-brainer. But man, I keep coming back. I keep coming back to my Hobbywing Fusion versus Hobbywing 1080 ESC video. That brushed premium kind of ESC from Hobbywing versus their Fusion now compared to this. You know, so I'm going to leave a link to that video over here. You really need to compare. I swear that Hobbywing 1080 setup, it's still going to be my go-to at this point, I think. But it all depends on your exact application. So now that you've seen me use this, come over here and check that video out and see if that gives you any more thoughts as to maybe which motor and ESC you want to go with. So thank you for all your support, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.